Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series, the podcast that celebrates individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, wellness, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Jonathan Passmore and Ellie Lloyd-Jones are our guests today. Jonathan is a professor, an award-winning chartered psychologist, and a master executive coach. He holds numerous leadership roles in academia and the public and private sectors, and has authored numerous books, chapters, and papers that have advanced the practice of coaching. Ellie is a nature-based coach and founder of Elevate with Ellie and Elevate Networking. I love that. She leads groups and teams of coaches on walks to intentionally connect and reflect. And finally, Jonathan and Ellie are co-authors of this wonderful new book that I am very excited about, Outdoor Coaching, a practical guide for coaches and supervisors to working with clients, teams, and groups using blue-green psychology. Jonathan and Ellie, welcome to the Outdoor Adventure Series.
Thank you for having us.
I love the fact that we are here talking today virtually, the power of technology, but it's not often that my interest in the outdoor space as a podcaster and my profession as a coach in the leadership space, career development, career transition, has, I think now officially just crossed paths with each other. And not to use the word paths, in terms of our conversation, I just think that is fantastic, and I'm so excited to have you both on the podcast. First and foremost, Ellie, where are you calling in from today?
I'm in the northwest of England, in a county called Cheshire. So it's
Cheshire. Okay.
Yeah, a few hundred miles away from Jonathan.
Okay, and Jonathan, you are where?
I'm in the southeast of England, about 30 miles from central London.
Okay. Now, central London, I used to live in Chiswick, just off the M4 years ago. But I love the UK, but we can have a whole other conversation there. How did you two meet? I'm curious about that. Ellie, share a little bit. Well, first, a little bit more about your background, and how did you get interested in this idea of mental health, physical health, just getting people outdoors? Is that something that's been a part of your life, or is it something relatively new as a result of an event?
No, it's what I call my dirty secret, that I work in this outdoor coaching space and pro nature. And I only really got into being outdoors probably in the last 8 years or so. So I'm still in the honeymoon period of finding it fascinating and loving and seeing different species and enjoying the time and getting other people into nature. My background, I worked in the corporate world for about 20 years, always leading and developing people. And I didn't realize that how I was doing that was coaching them until it was pointed out to me. And so 5 years ago, I left the corporate world to do coaching more on my own terms. And I was struggling to fit in, doing all of the things I wanted to do, and run my business and coach and be outdoors. And somebody suggested, why not combine meeting people outdoors to coach them and doing that together? And I didn't know that was a thing. And being around teams for such a long time, I actually missed being in groups of people. So now most of my coaching is done in groups and teams, and we do it outdoors because I feel much more at ease in that space. I find it much easier to be myself and be relaxed and bring the best of me to the coaching space. So that's a whistle-stop tour of how I got to where I am.
And that is definitely putting some questions in my head that I'm curious about. But Jonathan, your name is very well known to me within the coaching profession. But how did you get involved in this outdoor space in addition to your work in helping to develop and train other coaches? You've got you're a master certified coach as well. But how did you get interested in this outdoor space where, whether it's on the water or walking down the cart path?
So I've been involved in coaching really since the late 1990s. And mainly working in consulting firms as a psychologist, helping at the time in the mid to late 1990s, senior leaders and business transformation pieces. So working at PricewaterhouseCoopers and then at IBM in project change. As the psychologist team, we were often having conversations with leaders about the new behaviors that they wanted to see implemented, the changes they wanted to see in themselves, and the changes that they wanted to institute across the wider business. So business transformation pieces. And as some of those projects, what started happening, probably first of all happened around, for me, 2003, 2004, is that I invited clients to step outside.
Okay.
And I found that was particularly useful for clients who felt a real restraint, a real restriction, a limitation to their thinking. And one specific example is the one that I quote because it's a lovely illustration of this. But I was on a project coaching prison governors. So these were people who were running penitentiaries, institutions, prisons, usually with several hundred staff, hundreds, maybe 1,000 inmates. And the individual that I was meeting would come in and meet me at the office because I did go and meet them at the prison, but actually security was easier to come to me than me go to him. And he always turned up with a beautifully ironed, crisp white shirt, a suit that was immaculate, and a big set of keys. I don't know whether they were the prison keys, but they were part of, he had a particular identity. And I always felt in the coaching conversations that we were having, we were constrained by the white shirt, the suit, the keys. He was always turning up as this consummate professional. And I was finding it hard to get beneath the surface. So I suggested on one of our coaching sessions, what about the next time that we meet, let's go meet in a rose garden. So we met in the National Trust garden and he turned up with jeans and a t-shirt and we walked around the garden and we had a different conversation.
Okay.
And he was able, by letting go of that clothing, letting go of that identity, that professionalism that was important in his role, to then start tapping into a different side of himself, his authentic self. And then we explored how we might connect who he really was with this role as a prison governor and how that could enhance his leadership in the role that he had, and particularly his aspirations to move from running one prison into a more senior executive leadership role covering a region within the UK.
Okay.
So we talked about these aspects, and outdoors just freed the thinking. So I then started to introduce that to other conversations as part of a blended approach, not with all clients, not at all times, not as a fixed piece of work, or we'll do outdoor coaching. It was just still coaching. And it wasn't really until a student at Henley Business School who had been working outdoors as a coach said to me, I want to do my research. I've been doing this stuff as outdoor coaching. It's like, okay, you mean that's a thing, this thing that I've been doing some of the time? So then we did some research together. And at that time, I also connected with another person at an ICF conference in London who was doing outdoor coaching, beginning to realize actually there are a few people who are just doing coaching outdoors. And we then started to do some work together. The two of them, I connected, they formed a podcast. And really that movement has started to grow and develop from really the 2019, 2020 exploded, of course, with lockdown. Digital's exploded, but also people wanted to get outside. Here I am in lockdown. Let me go for a walk. And so I think over the last 5 years, outdoor coaching has certainly become a thing. Many of these people who were isolated islands have now connected into a network, into a movement, sharing experiences, sharing knowledge, building a science base that enables us to produce an evidence-based approach. So that's where I've been coming from, a desire to recognize this as something as a separate practice with its own unique benefits, and then to better understand what those psychological benefits are for working outdoors. Coaching's powerful by itself. It can be great to do it digitally and online with people like Ezra, but it can also be differently, separate, fantastically amazing outdoors. So that's where I've been coming from, Howard.
Okay, very good. And this begs the question for you, Ellie, is as you felt this, you had this wonderful experience working inside corporate America. I'm a recovering IT business consultant, by the way. So what crisp white shirts, and sitting inside, they called them here veal fattening pens, cubes that we had to work in. And I remember I was up in the Poconos, which is in part of Pennsylvania, very beautiful part. And one of my supervisors, on a project I was on with a whole bunch of others, it was called the Cleary Walk. So once a day, we'd go, all of us on the team, we'd go for a walk and just talk. And I always enjoyed that. In fact, as I was preparing for this episode, I was thinking about the Cleary Walk. And Ellie, what was it like for you as you started to incorporate your experience as a corporate professional in development, but then working with teams themselves versus, say, an individual? What's it like getting a team to go outside to talk or just to walk and reflect, not say a word? Were there any challenges when you first proposed this type of process for helping your clients?
Not from the leaders. So it's usually the leaders that would approach me, and they're usually really on board, and we've had a conversation, and they're usually people who recognize the power of being outdoors, and they've got a team that love to do that. And they talk about how they would normally do. I don't know if you refer to it as a walk and talk in America, but they talk about doing that. And then for me, it's explaining the difference of how when you bring coaching into that element and make it quite intentional and use it as not a break from work, because I think people tend to think of it as a break from doing the work, but it's a different way of working because you're able to access so much more creativity when you change the environment, change the patterns that people would normally sit in the same seats when you've got a traditional meeting room. And as being a leader for a long time, I could always guarantee that I would know who would object at certain points in a meeting and what they would object to in the hierarchies. When you take all of that out of the equation, and everybody's in a level playing field and they're outdoors, there's something about the sensory impact, the spaciousness, the sounds, all of that. So that's how the leader gets on board, and they see the potential, and I work with them. Quite different when I then go into the team, and there's usually the first time I see that there's a little bit of apprehension because they seem to think it's some sort of team building activity, and I'm going to be getting them to do trust falls and like Gale Mountains or something. That's not what I do. It's very much I work with nature, and I use nature as a teacher to be quite gentle and meet people where they're at, and we gently explore what their relationship is with nature, what's going on in the business, and then we take the conversation outside, and I will often frame questions around what it is that the business is looking for as the outcome. It's a very gentle approach. I don't just rock in like someone from the SAS and march everybody outdoors. It has to be, I have to make sure that the psychological safety is there. And the difference in energy between the start of the day and the end of the day it's not even comparable, just from having that space to think about things differently.
Sure. Now, so many questions are going on, and it's like the light bulbs are just popping in my head. I have to constrain myself here. But I'm also curious, how did you two cross paths? I mean, you're in the UK. I mean, it is a small island. It's easy to get around for the most part, unless you're stuck on the M4, or the M20 with the M25, the circular route. But how did you two meet up, and how did it click? Like, Jonathan is interested in this, Ellie, you're interested in this piece, and how did you begin to have this conversation? Was it planned on the back of a napkin? Did you hear each other speak? Ellie, share a little bit about that initial getting together and having a conversation with Jonathan.
I think Now, we've said this so many times, and people always ask us this question. I can't remember if this is actually true or whether it's just some sort of folklore that we've made up now. But what I remember of how we got to know each other is at there's an outdoor coaching conference that started in 2024 in Henley.
Oh.
Jonathan was there as a keynote speaker. I was there as just going along because I thought this is an opportunity I can't miss to go and be around other people that love to coach outdoors as well. And Jonathan came over to me and I think recognized me from some of I do videos on LinkedIn where I just talk to the camera and talk about the benefits of being in nature. And from that, we kept in touch on LinkedIn. And Jonathan had spinal surgery at the end of that year. We said we should probably meet up and have a conversation about maybe there's ways that we could work together in the future. Jonathan, being Jonathan, his mind works at 100 miles an hour, and he suggested at the beginning of January that maybe we could do this project together where we could walk the full length of the River Thames.
Really?
And invite people along to experience outdoor coaching, to just raise the profile of it, and it helps him to rehabilitate after his spinal surgery. I thought that was like a 6-month planning project, but within 3 weeks we were on the first walk. It went really, really quickly. And whether Jonathan regrets that invitation 12 months ago or not is yet to be seen. But we're still there. We're still going.
Okay. Jonathan, how's the spine now with all that walking you've been doing?
So part of the plan, as Ellie says, was that this would be a way of getting back to fitness. The spinal operation was a pretty big thing. And the first few days of that, I could hardly walk. I mean, walk from the bed to the bathroom, just about. And so I wanted to get back. I had been a walker all my life, and walking 10, 12 miles would be, I would do that and not think of anything. It's like, yep, okay. So I wanted to get back to that. And the original plan was, hey, Ellie, why don't we walk the Thames, promote outdoor coaching? That's great for my recovery. And we'll offer free outdoor coaching for those people in career transition. So we're going to help people on this journey. It's going to help me, and we're going to be promoting outdoor coaching. What's not to like about that? And so we started in January, and we've been walking ever since. Not every day. Let me just quickly say that. The River Thames is just short of a couple of 100 miles. Is the journey that we're making. Starts in the rural Cotswold Hills, and it meanders its way through a series of towns like Oxford before it gets to London, and then flows out to the sea. So we're doing that walk of 1 walk a month at around 7, 8, 10 miles per stretch. And we invite people each month for free to come and join us. Anybody really, but if they're in career transition, we'll offer them free coaching. We have coaches join us. And of course, people who are thinking, I want to move from being an IT consultant to be an outdoor coach. I want to move from being, an accountant to move into something else. So people who are thinking about the conversations, career changes, we're really happy to walk alongside them and their coaching process to help them to explore that, develop new insights, and develop actions to take away. And it's going fantastically well. We're just on the outskirts of London now, so we've got a few more walks to do. So if any of your listeners are thinking, well, I'm going to be in London in the spring or the summer, fantastic. Come and check out our websites or check out Ellie's website, check the date and the time and the meeting arrangements. We would love to welcome them.
I love it. I wish I had known about it a long time ago and we had crossed paths. I would have been over there. I would love to have been on a walk with you guys. And we're going to see the list of where you've been walking and what's left in a minute or two, because Ellie, I'd love to take a visit to your website. How this idea of the book, Outdoor Coaching, a Practical Guide for Coaches and Supervisors, let me read the rest of the title, to working with clients, teams, and groups using blue-green psychology. It's going to be coming out officially in a couple days. Did the book come first? Did the walk come first? Writing a book, well, Jonathan, you're a prolific book author. I don't know how you do it, but you do it. 40-some books. To me, it was like birthing a baby, which I know is impossible, but because I have one. But how did this book come out, and what's its relation, or is there a relationship to this source to sea walk that you have been involved with for the last little while? Who wants
Ellie,
to
do you
jump
want
in
to
and
talk a little bit
answer
about
that?
that?
Yeah, I was thinking that you were going to lead on it, Jonathan. There's always a book involved with Jonathan, I think, isn't there? So
I think that's the
I
rule.
think,
If you work with Jonathan,
yeah,
you have to have a book.
yeah. I don't. From my understanding of it, there was always the idea of a book at some point. The specifics of what that book were going to be weren't there until at least partway through last year. And from my point of view, we get a lot of questions, or I get a lot of questions about how you get into outdoor coaching. What do you need to know from a safety perspective? How do you bring the coaching in? What's the difference between doing one-to-one and group work and teams? There's just lots of different questions that people want about the practicalities and how to actually do this thing. And so the book answers a lot of those questions. And I don't know that there's not much out in the way of helping coaches to expand into outdoor coaching, and definitely not in this practical sense. So that's my take on it. Jonathan, is there
Well, we really wanted to create a practical resource. At least that's how it's ended up. The original vision, or at least my original vision that started to talk to Ellie about, was why don't we write it almost as a story, like a travel book? And for a long time, I've traveled extensively around the world, probably 120 plus countries, from Mauritania to North Korea, from Myanmar to South Africa, and even as far flung places as Minnesota and Los Angeles. So I travel extensively. The world is a fantastic place, and you meet amazing people. Oh, we're going to meet amazing people doing this. Why don't we write it as a travel book? But that vision then turned into what we really knew to do. So as you said, Howard, I've produced quite a few books over the years, lots of research papers. So I was very familiar with the process for writing how do you do this type book? How do you do outdoor coaching? And really, as we started to write, my aspiration to write a travel book just turned into a practice guide to how, if you're a coach or you're an outdoor adventurer, how do you turn that into an outdoor coaching practice? So it draws heavily on our journey of source to sea, but it's also stories from that experience, yes, and lots of practical guidance around a little bit of science, but how do you plan it? How do you manage the process? And lots of resources. So we've got 12, 15 templates in the book of practical things or forms, risk assessments, for example, that people would need to prepare for doing these activities safely to look after themselves and their clients. And so we see this as here's the guide that you would need if you want to get outdoors and take your coaching and your clients to have a fabulous evidence-based experience that will be developmental and beneficial for them in terms of performance and well-being. So we hope it's a great resource. It's not the storybook, the story of Ellie and Jonathan's walk, but there are little elements in there of our incidents and experiences that we had along the journey. And we might share a couple of those as our conversation continues with you.
Sure. And I actually would love to hear a couple of anecdotes about whether it's the coach or the client would experience, and even the client as a team would experience. And how do you prepare? What are the ways you would introduce this idea of getting outdoors? And you talked a little bit about that, the prison administrator and before that, just inviting people to come outside. Let's do a walk. And as a coach myself, I would love. It's hard to do it because we're virtual. In Las Vegas, you certainly don't want to do it in between May and September because it's a little hot. But how do you approach the team or the client to dip their toe in the water here, to get outside and use the outdoors as kind of the co-facilitator of this coaching relationship? Because I would imagine it is in some ways a member of the coaching team. It's just there. Ellie, talk a little bit about that. What is your approach for getting the team out? And then Jonathan, perhaps we could talk more about the individual themselves. Ellie.
Uh, I think it's a gradual process, and I spend more time outside with the team the more that we get to know each other. I think it's important to build the psychological safety for the team first and understand what they need so that they can start to trust. It would usually start with maybe a lunchtime walk. People tend to be familiar with that and might set them a reflection question to think about. And then the more that we work together, the more we will expand that time. Paul Jeffries is a coach. He does amazing teamwork as well. And he talks about doing coaching constellations outside with teams. And so they can really, for me, it gets them out of their head and gets them into their body much more. They can find objects that are around and about and use and describe these objects. And it gives you an insight into what their inner world is. And it helps to then get the team to know each other more and trust each other. And it builds the culture, and it builds this sense of psychological safety between them without explicitly naming it. It just happens, and then they can take that learning back into the office. There was one time I remember there was one of the teams that I was working with. There was a lady picked a daisy, a little daisy, and the activity was to just describe what drew you to the daisy. And she described this particular one because it was all closed up. The petals were all closed up and it was looking a little bit withered. And then the more she talked about it, she realized that the daisy reflected her. This was actually how she was feeling at the moment. And they're the sort of things that you wouldn't necessarily get people to open up in an indoor environment. And when the team start to learn about each other, that allows them to treat each other differently when they go back into the office and see Jan in accounts as this person who's actually really struggling with something at the moment, as opposed to the person that didn't put the invoice through yesterday. It just starts to build this sense of connection between the team and everybody working together. I think that's why I love working with teams, because that's what I loved doing in the corporate world. Just seeing how you can bring all these individual people and create an organism, like one moving part from them. I don't know if that answers your question, Howard.
No, and I think it's great. And as you were providing that great response, I was actually thinking, Jonathan, I'm going to actually change up what I was going to ask you. If I am a coach, and for the last 4 or 5 years, we've all been, for the most part, except for Ellie, with working with teams and taking them out, we've been pretty much, as a podcaster, as a coach, I can do my work anywhere in the world. Okay. And this whole idea of being a digital nomad really excites me, a term we have here. And I would imagine there are coaches out there that are a little bit burnt out by being tied down to the desk, the internet connection. And maybe you're doing some supervision with them and they're sharing this troublesome feeling right now of, and I can't get out of it. This is my life, this computer. How do you begin to approach this idea of taking your practice outside with clients and basically helping yourself while you're helping your client?
I attribute the growth of outdoor coaching as a response to what you've just described, an increasing digital life. And back in the 90s and the 2000s, even in the 2010s, most coaches were operating face-to-face. And I would catch a train, an hour and a half, going to central London, sit in a reception, go and meet a client, have a coaching session for an hour and a half, get back on a train, go home. And sometimes I might be using Skype, maybe from about 2012 occasionally, and that did increase up until 2019, but it still didn't represent 95% of the work that I was doing. COVID, we all flipped to digital. We were experiencing lockdown in many parts of the world. People have then gone, actually, this is super convenient. And that's then seen the growth of digital platforms like Ezra, organizations recognizing that they can use coaching at scale. That's provided lots of work for many coaches. So at Ezra, 2,000 coaches are coaching thousands of managers every single month. And those individuals and those organizations benefit because coaching at scale, convenience and cost, fabulous. It shouldn't be the only thing that we need to do as coaches. And as you say, if you spend all of your time online, it feels harder, limiting. We want to get out. We want to experience the real world as well. We want to benefit from that convenience. We don't want to be trapped by it. And one of the things that I've noticed people then saying is integrating outdoor coaching with their work on a digital coaching platform. So beginning to try and get out and experiment with outdoor coaching, inviting clients. Well, what would it be like if we did the next session outdoors for you? What would it be like if we did the next session online rather than face to face? So giving clients the choice enables them to then start to consider those other possibilities. We know certainly as individuals about the convenience of online, and we also know about how we experience cognitive fatigue if we spend endless hours, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours online each day. It's just so tiring. So to find some time where we mix the day up, we might have 2 or 3 coaching sessions online, then we might go and meet somebody, maybe mid-morning or maybe early afternoon for an outdoor coaching session, come back and then do our admin and other activities, our emails, etc. on our computers. Provides that variety that I think people are looking for and enables us to have the benefits of both worlds, benefits of the digital experience, but also getting out, having some exercise, having exposure to sunlight, to experience nature, whether that's the wind in our hair, whether that's listening to bird song, whether that's just running our hands through the cornfield. All of those things feed the soul. That's what it is to be human. And we have spent hundreds of thousands of years of our evolutionary history engaging in those ways, walking and talking. Digital is new. It's something that really we have invented, certainly in my lifetime and probably pretty much how all of your listeners' lifetimes. So it isn't something that comes naturally to us. There are benefits, absolutely. But if we neglect our souls, if we neglect our evolutionary past, we lose what it is to be fully human.
You know, it's interesting as you were just sharing that. Where I live in Las Vegas, I actually rent a couple rooms in a house, and the individual that owns the house has this wonderful backyard, which is why I'm renting here. And first thing in the morning, I will go outside with my cup of coffee. There's the morning birds that stop by to the feeder. There's the hummingbirds, and there's the quiet of the morning. And I'm thinking there's no reason for me why I can't have an Ezra coaching session outside with my clients. I just have to take the PC with me. And so
we were experiencing lockdown in many parts of the world. People have then gone, actually, this is super convenient. And that's then seen the growth of digital platforms like Ezra, organizations recognizing that they can use coaching at scale. That's provided lots of work for many coaches. So at Ezra, 2,000 coaches are coaching thousands of managers every single month. And those individuals and those organizations benefit because coaching at scale, convenience and cost, fabulous. It shouldn't be the only thing that we need to do as coaches. And as you say, if you spend all of your time online, it feels harder, limiting. We want to get out. We want to experience the real world as well. We want to benefit from that convenience. We don't want to be trapped by it. And one of the things that I've noticed people then saying is integrating outdoor coaching with their work on a digital coaching platform. So beginning to try and get out and experiment with outdoor coaching, inviting clients. Well, what would it be like if we did the next session outdoors for you? What would it be like if we did the next session online rather than face to face? So giving clients the choice enables them to then start to consider those other possibilities. We know certainly as individuals about the convenience of online, and we also know about how we experience cognitive fatigue if we spend endless hours, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours online each day. It's just so tiring. So to find some time where we mix the day up, we might have 2 or 3 coaching sessions online, then we might go and meet somebody, maybe mid-morning or maybe early afternoon for an outdoor coaching session, come back and then do our admin and other activities, our emails, etc. on our computers. Provides that variety that I think people are looking for and enables us to have the benefits of both worlds, benefits of the digital experience, but also getting out, having some exercise, having exposure to sunlight, to experience nature, whether that's the wind in our hair, whether that's listening to bird song, whether that's just running our hands through the cornfield, all of those things feed the soul. That's what it is to be human. And we have spent hundreds of thousands of years of our evolutionary history engaging in those ways, walking and talking. Digital is new. It's something that really we have invented, certainly in my lifetime and probably pretty much how all of your listeners' lifetimes. So it isn't something that comes naturally to us. There are benefits, absolutely. But if we neglect our souls, if we neglect our evolutionary past, we lose what it is to be fully human.
What's interesting is you were just sharing that. Where I live in Las Vegas, I actually rent a couple rooms in a house, and the individual that owns the house has this wonderful backyard, which is why I'm renting here. And first thing in the morning, I will go outside with my cup of coffee. There's the morning birds that stop by to the feeder. There's the hummingbirds, and there's the quiet of the morning. And I'm thinking there's no reason for me why I can't have an Ezra coaching session outside with my clients. I just have to take the PC with me. And so, rather than the background, but just it's nature. And I'm thinking I can do that. And I'm sure other coaches can do that as well, just because I haven't maybe they thought about it, but it's not at the forefront of this idea. It's still kind of pre-contemplating, or it's not even awareness yet.
And you might be experiencing the outdoors, but as a coach, you can also curate your background. So here you are, for us looking at you now, Howard, then you've got a green screen of a beautiful river and some trees.
It's the Thames River, by the way.
It's the Thames.
Yes,
Interesting.
it is.
Okay.
I did my homework.
Very good, Howard. Very good. I'm impressed. And we can curate our backgrounds. As you've just done here, you put a River Thames on there, but equally you could put a backdrop of Ezra or a backdrop of a mountain. The choice would be yours. And I think it is about being choiceful in our situations. Just as we choose what clothing we're going to turn up to a coaching session, we can choose our backdrop. But where we are can also be a choice. We don't necessarily have to reveal that to our client. We might be in a busy cafe, may not be appropriate to show that background. So we might then choose a green screen.
Right. Okay.
Same with nature. You can be out in nature, having the sun on your face, enjoying the bird song, and still doing a digital coaching session for Ezra.
I love it. I think we need to introduce that in our present learning opportunities sometime this year. I think it's perfect. And Ellie comes on board as a speaker, and life is good. I love this. I would love, well, first off, I want to be respectful of both of your times and know we're in different time zones. And I would love if we could learn a little bit more about the Thames Walk. Ellie, I'm going to share my screen, the miracle of technology, which I can't do if we're not digitally connected. But just to share a little bit about the Thames Walk and some of the features that are on the website, if that's okay now.
Of course.
Okay, good. All right, so the miracle of technology. We should be seeing your screen. It's painting slowly here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did is I just brought the screen up. This is your website, Elevate with Ellie. One of the page we're on is source to Thames, source to see Thames Walk. So take us on a little tour and give us the highlights of what you've done and what you're going to be doing, if you would.
This is where I need to remember what's on this page.
Ah.
This page was initially set up as a landing point for people to just come and find out a little bit more about the project. If I'm honest, Jonathan and I just went into this with a gut feeling, and it's evolved as we've gone along. So this is a little introduction to why we're doing what we're doing. Why we're offering the coaching. So the bit that you're scrolling now is just a little bit about the background of why we've done it.
Okay.
And then, yeah, you can see a little bit about the two of us.
Excellent. Oh, those are going to be your banner photos, if that's okay. All right. Or if there's
Um,
one of you in the hiking gear, that we can do that as well with hiking poles. And now, so these are the walks that are scheduled, or are these the walks that have already
so
taken
this,
place?
yeah, so this part is the, after each walk, I do a reflection on my blog
Okay.
post and write about it, because the idea of trying to remember
Okay.
25 individual walks over 18 months is not going to happen. So
Ah,
this one that you clicked on was the reflection from the very first walks that we did.
oh, very nice.
And so I do that after each
Okay.
walk. Usually the next morning, I'll
Oh,
reflect
nice.
on the experience. This first one is one that Jonathan and I reflected and wondered whether we would do any more after the first one. It didn't go. I say it didn't go to plan. That's because the plan wasn't great, was it, Jonathan? The plan was to get people to come along, and then that was...
Well,
You're kind of building the
went to
airplane
plan,
as you
but the
fly
weather
it.
got in the way. The trouble with nature, Howard, is that nature is not obedient. It does its own thing. So what we found was that the footpath, the river had flooded, and so the footpath had disappeared
Okay.
under the river. So we were
Okay.
unable to complete that section of the walk because it was underwater. And we sent Ellie ahead to try and swim her way through it. But once he got to the top of her Wellington boots, everybody else shook their head. And so Ellie retreated, and we had to find another way to the end of our walk,
Okay.
which we hired a minibus. It was only a couple of miles to finish it off, but we couldn't make our way. And rather than walking on the road, we thought, we'll take everybody to the finish point. And there have been other incidents that have happened as
Sure.
Ellie said. You think sometimes nature is malleable, but of course we know that it isn't. And that's
this
life.
begs the importance of, as you create your checklist and to-do items, and how do you prepare for the walk? What equipment do I need? What clothes do I need to bring? Maybe I'm not going to wear it now, but I'll wear it if it starts to rain. Do I need my Wellington boots? Do I need my sunscreen, my hat? Do I have enough water for the walk? Little things like that. A lot of preparation involved.
Yeah,
absolutely. If you want to keep your clients and yourself safe. And of course, that checklist will vary depending on the terrain and maybe the season and the country in which you're walking. So we've talked to colleagues from Africa, and while in the UK, lions are not a major problem that we need to look out for. Or if you're walking in some parts of Africa, you need to be thinking about wildlife and how that wildlife might have you for lunch. Not a problem as you walk the Thames. So it varies. And of course, as you say, sunscreen in some times of the year, a waterproof in others, and a super warm boots and a warm coat at other times of the year.
Okay, very good. Well, I know, again, I want to be respectful of both of your time. So we're going to have backlinks to the website, including this page. So individuals who are interested. Now, somewhere here, just before we leave, there was a listing. I had it, was the walk. There we go. The walk schedule. And this is where I was, by the way, very disappointed that I didn't know about this, but you've done all this. Look at that.
we've got
I could have
5 or
come
6
here on my
walks.
birthday or near my birthday, the new bridge to Twinford Bridge. I would have done it. That's just a hint, but now you have, by the way, the website is very well done, and I love, very inviting. And so these are your final walks that are going to be coming up.
They are, yeah. We
Okay.
it was a slightly out of sequence. The very final walk that we do is one that we've had to reschedule from last year because, believe it or not, in the UK it was too hot to walk, which is something that we never thought would happen, did we, Jonathan?
Who knew? Who knew?
Wasn't predicted, no.
No.
Okay. Very good. Well, listen, I want to come back to just the three of us chatting, so I'm going to stop sharing. And again, I want to thank you both for everything that you've shared thus far, taking us on a brief tour. Also, again, congratulate you for the book. I would love if you could leave our listeners with, we have 2 features on the podcast. One is the aha moment when you realize what you're doing is, I can't believe I took so long, or I can't believe the impact it's having. Ellie, what would be your aha moment in this project, and either the walk or the book, that it's like, this is pretty cool stuff.
I think the whole 12-month experience, it gradually grew from Jonathan and I having this idea. A lot of my sort of pinch me moments, maybe I would call it, is that
Hmm.
people are coming to join us. People want to do this thing with us.
Yeah.
They put in their faith and trust in us. And something that really surprised me and continues to surprise me is that people come back again, don't they, Jonathan? What they thought they were just going to come for one walk, and they really enjoy it. And we have people who come on most walks with us, which it blows my mind. And when we had the book launch in London last month, there were people that were coming up to me that have been following the journey, who read the website, and I didn't know anything about that. For me, I'm just doing my little journey down to the River Thames, doing what I love, meeting new people, getting them to experience some outdoor coaching. And it
Hmm.
actually has a really big impact on their life. And that's, for me, that's amazing. And then one other thing I received an email a couple of days ago, not told Jonathan this yet, from apparently this year's 30 years since the full River Thames Path was available to walk the whole length of it. And they're having some celebrations. And I was contacted by the poet in residence that's going
Yeah.
to be at these celebrations. And he'd found the website and had been looking through the reflections on there and wanted to use some of the reflections. It's part of his poems that he was talking about people's experiences along the river. And so all of these little ripple effects from what was just, I'm going to say, a selfish idea from Jonathan and I, to do something that we wanted to do. And it's had this huge ripple effect at the point where we're talking to you as well, Howard. That's pinch me moments, I think, rather than
I love it.
aha. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Jonathan, how about yourself?
Well, I guess I'm always struck by just how beautiful the coaching conversations can be. And that never fails to surprise me, that something as simple as one human being engaging in a conversation with another human being can be so beneficial for both the coach gains, that we have the privilege of listening and being curious in those moments, and that the individual has something as an insight and actions to go and take away. And that for me is always a constant surprise about coaching, and something which is so beautiful, which is why I have stayed engaged with coaching for pretty much the last 30 years.
Excellent. Excellent. I love it. I mean, you've definitely given me fuel to want to learn more about it for myself, as the one to get away from the computer, or get away from the technology that keeps me at my desk. But it opens up definitely the love of, like Ellie, being outdoors and walking and just being with nature. And not only you help yourself, but you help your clients as well. And we have this wonderful partner, our coaching partner, which is nature. I love that. Jonathan, before we head out, if listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, where's the best place to go?
So I be delighted if people would like to connect with me on LinkedIn. So Jonathan Passmore. And if there are a couple of Jonathan Passmores, I'm the one that's at Henley Business School, probably I will come up. And if people want to check out the things that I've written over the years, jonathanpassmore.com is a website, and I give stuff away for free. So there are hundreds of articles written over the last 25, 30 years, book chapters, technical reports, all available for free. If people don't want to buy the book and they think, I just want free stuff, they can come and fill their boots on that website. It'll keep them happy and engaged for many a month during 2026.
Fantastic. By the way, I did find the attention restoration therapy article that you wrote. I've downloaded it, and I was actually glancing at it before today's call. Ellie, if listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, where's the best place to go?
Same as Jonathan, if you want to find me on LinkedIn under Ellie Lloyd-Jones, and the website that you shared before, elevatewithellie.co.uk, is the best place to find me.
Excellent. Well, listen, both of you, I truly appreciate you taking the time. I know you're probably have family duties coming up very shortly because the time zone difference. But it has been, I am grateful that you were able to spend the time and wanted to do this. This is a great, again, it's a great intersection between my interest in the outdoor space, the podcast, as well as the coaching space. So this definitely, my cup is definitely filling. I'm going to go sit outside with a cup of coffee and then just celebrate and enjoy nature in just a second. But thank you both for spending time with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you,
It's
Howard.
been a pleasure. Thank you, Howard.
All right. Listen, we're going to do a quick close and then the three of us can have a final chat. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Jonathan Passmore and Ellie Lloyd-Jones. They are the authors of Outdoor Coaching, a practical guide for coaches and supervisors to work with clients, teams, and groups using blue-green psychology. And this idea as a coach, or if I was a client, of taking this experience outside of the office and the safety of that office, but also into the safety of the outdoors, and really opening up the experience of using nature and fresh air, the sun, the breeze, exploring your surroundings, or just taking in your surroundings, really to help you face and solve whatever issues that you are facing. And really, it was pleasure to have Jonathan and Ellie, because their depth of experience and passion for not only development and coaching, but using nature as a vehicle for this process. Now, we're going to provide backlinks to a variety of media assets in our show notes, and we'll have backlinks to both Jonathan and Ellie's website, as well as their LinkedIn profiles. As for us, you can find this episode on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. We are also on Facebook and on our Outdoor Adventure Series pages. The video of this episode will be up on YouTube. And of course, you can listen to this episode wherever you get your podcast from. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there and have a fantastic day. And we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.